Hello everyone, I thought it would be good to do a video on what the best air rifle pellets are, well at least of the ones I've used. And one thing I should point out from the very beginning of this video is that depending completely on what air rifle you're using, what the barrel length is, what the power behind it is, you know, so if it's a PCP, if it's a break barrel, if it's restricted to 12 foot-pounds or it's more depending on your country or firearms license, or, you know, if you're shooting it from an air pistol, will all affect the accuracy and reliability of the pellets. Because some pellets, specifically ones like these, are designed to be used from a PCP rifle, not a break barrel. So I'm going to give this as an opinion from somebody who's used a break barrel that's below 12 foot-pounds, like a lot of people in the UK use who don't have a firearms license and haven't upgraded to a PCP rifle. So I'm going to do it honestly out of these pellets and tell you what I actually think of them and, you know, how I might predict they might work. So to start off with, we'll look at the SMK Spitfires, which are actually a favourite of mine, even though I know a lot of people won't like these. Now, these are cheap pellets, and as you know, with lots of pellets, cheap pellets are nasty pellets. Now, as you can see here, some of these aren't formed very well and they look quite dirty. Now, if you go into buying these pellets, knowing they're cheap and not great, you know, and you're just using them for plinking, like I wouldn't hunt with these because it's a bit inhumane because they're not accurate enough. And, you know, they're inconsistent with grouping. For example, if all these others would hold, you know, an inch to half-inch group, this would probably be twice that, because even with the scope properly zeroed, these will go off a lot more because of, you know, the inconsistent skirts and things like that. But if you go into knowing that the Spitfires are basically cheap and cheerful, you're going to have to clean your gun a bit more using them, and, you know, you're just plinking cans in the garden. They're absolutely perfect for that. And when buying in bulk, these work out at less than a penny per pellet, which is great if you just want to shoot things for fun. Most of my YouTube videos have been done with these just for the sake of it, unless I'm showing off another pellet. So, that's the SMK Spitfire. I see now they also do a pointed variant of it, so I don't know how that compares to this, but if you're after a cheap pellet, these are fine. Just know that they are cheap and they're not that accurate, so obviously only use them accordingly. First pellets I ever bought for my air rifle, I bought them from the gun shop, and I got the air rifle at Bisley Magnums. These are in 2.2, as I said, with 177s they might perform differently, so I can't say if they're good or not. Again, these are intended for a more powerful rifle than the break barrel, but they will work fine out of it. But you will experience quite a bit of drop once you get past 10 yards. So obviously zero your scope accordingly. See, these are much better formed pellets than the last lot. Shinier as well, and, you know, really good solid skirts and everything. So Bisley Magnums are much better pellets than the Spitfires. They cost normally about £5 for a pack of 200 compared to the Spitfires, which are normally less than £5 for 4 500. So you can see there why the difference in quality has that. I've heard there's some very good ones called Bisley Field, I think they're called, or Super Field, and they're probably better for sort of what I do with an air rifle. If I bought a packet of those, they're a bit lighter, so they're better from a break barrel. As generally, with a break barrel underlever, you know, especially the sub 12 foot-pound rifles, you want lighter pellets rather than heavier ones, because obviously if you've got limited power, you want something that's fast and efficient, not sort of slow and heavy for longer range. So Bisley Magnums are definitely good pellets, but you probably want them out of something a bit more powerful than the 12 foot-pound break barrel. Next we have Prometheus Pellets, which Baz kindly sent me years ago, and these are quite interesting. They're a bit like the Rabbit Magnums I'll get onto in a minute, but they're plastic skirts, so it's basically a plastic skirt with a steel head. I think the point is they're not lead, and these are quite good. They're very high velocity. You can see a bit of the pellet goes through, so it's like steel head and sort of core almost, but plastic skirt. And yeah, these fire absolutely fine out of break barrel. I've had no problems with them. I have heard complaints they sometimes leave plastic residue in your barrel, but I haven't noticed it. They penetrate very well because they're moving at high speed, because they're light. But they've got a good solid enough head that, you know, they work. And I suppose if you're not hunting, a light steel head is better really than a lead pellet because it doesn't deform as much if you're just, you know, shooting for the sake of penetration. So, yep, Prometheus pellets are very good if you get them. Obviously, what you use them for might vary, but I found them to be good personally. Right, this is something that I thought was really good, the H&N Baracuda Hunter Extreme. Now this basically is a 2-2 hollow point, but it's very ballistically sound. So I've done another video on these, but you'll be able to see that the heads are basically got a cross in them. They're flat with a cross, a bit like a dum-dum. And yeah, these fly really straight for something with like a hollow point. I wasn't expecting that. Looking at the head, I thought, these are going to be a bit, you know, air resistance will stop them, they'll be inaccurate. But no, these are really accurate. If it wasn't for the price, they'd actually probably just be better for garden shooting than the Bisley Magnums. They ricochet quite hard if you hit a hard surface of it compared to something like the Spitfire, which kind of just flattens out. But they are very good pellets, and again, these are more expensive. For 200, these are about £7. But these are very good. If you were hunting, these would be great, because it'd be very good for humane killing, and very accurate over a distance. I mean, I've seen videos of other people using these with PCP rifles, you know, like from a rest of a calibrated scope, zeroed scope, shooting pins off of boards, you know, shooting coins at 10-20 yards. So yeah, they are very accurate pellets. So yeah, the Baracuda Hunter Extreme by H&N, and I assume all H&N pellets seem to be quite good by the look of it, because yeah, like these, very good reliable pellets. Really surprised at the quality of these. Then we have the H&N Rabbit Magnum, which, as I said in the other video or two, I couldn't really review. You've got this mini ball type pellet. It looks a lot like a mini ball, as I said in the other video. The American Civil War musket ammo, if you made it ½ an inch big rather than, you know, like less than ¼ of an inch. But basically, they're designed for PCP rifles, not break barrels. They're probably ones that are higher than a 12 foot-pound, you know, like firearms limit, or if you're in a country that doesn't have restrictive laws like us, you know, your standard air rifles. But I imagine they're very good and accurate when shot from a full-power PCP. But as I said, I don't have one, so I can't accurately review them, and I'm not going to say they're bad when I haven't, you know, tested them out properly. But they seemed alright out of break barrel. They actually worked at least, so I did get some fun out of them. So that's the Rabbit Magnum. So if I was to rank these from my favourite to least favourite, it's a tough one, but I'm actually going to put the Prometheus Pellets first, because I think for what they are, they seem to be very good. I'm saying the plastic's an innovative idea. Now this might be a bit controversial, but I'm going to put the SMK Spitfires second. As long as you know what you're getting out of a cheap pellet, and it's only for plinking, they're good. But if, you know, you can't have these as serious pellets, obviously. If you're hunting with these, using them at a distance, using them for target shooting, don't get these. But for a bit of plinking fun in the garden, they are fine, so that's why I'm going to put them there. Next, I'm going to put these, the Baracuda Hunter Extreme. If it wasn't for the price, I'd really like them. If H&N do some sort of field sport pellet, I'll definitely check those out, because I imagine they'll be really good from a break barrel. They'll be a bit lighter, you know, a bit more aerodynamic, be really good pellets. So these are very good for what they are. They're just a bit expensive, so unless you're actually using them for nothing but hunting, I wouldn't really recommend getting these. Next, I'll put the Bisley Magnums, because I've still got a couple of sealed tins of these, and even from having a weaker than, you know, 12 foot-pound air rifle with a break barrel in the garden, they're still good fun. You have to get used to the dropping of them, but they are accurate. They'll basically hit where you want to hit, but you just have to adjust the elevation quite a bit on them. So, yeah, a Bisley Magnum is a good pellet. And then, last of all, we have the Rabbit Magnum II. As said, I can't really accurately review it, just due to the fact that I don't have an air rifle that it's designed to shoot from, because there it says for PCP air rifles only, which the site that sold me it didn't say, which is a bit crap. But, I imagine if you're shooting them from a full-power PCP, as I said, they'd be very good pellets. So, yep, that's my order ranking. Prometheus, Spitfires, Baracuda Hunter Extremes, Bisley Magnums, and Rabbit Magnum II. And, yep, they are all very good pellets regardless. And I'd recommend all of these, really. I've not had bad experiences, and as said, the Spitfires are definitely not bad pellets if you get them, you know, with the intention of them being just cheap, plinking, you know, pellets for shooting cans, shooting rotating targets, things like that. Just don't expect good quality from them and you won't be disappointed.